Can you hear me? All right. I'm James Graybaugh, CEO of Objective Biotechnologies. We're a one-year-old engineering firm that's commercializing research laboratory equipment that's being developed at the University of Minnesota by a very well-rounded team of founders that has expertise in robotics, artificial intelligence, neurotechnology, genetics, and we have two entrepreneurs who have previously sold startups. I personally have 27 years of experience selling laboratory equipment into this marketplace. This is our flagship, the auto-injector. It's the first instrument to fully automate microinjection into multiple model organisms for research. This is a picture of microinjection in vitro fertilization, a future market for the system. Today, it's designed to meet the needs of thousands of laboratories worldwide that microinject CRISPR gene editing tools into the developing embryos of the model organisms pictured here. Their discoveries provide the tools for future biomedicine, and they do a lot of microinjection. Here's the problem. Microinjection is a very difficult, precise procedure. It's a bottleneck. It's slow, expensive, and highly variable. A laboratory with the auto-injector can train multiple technicians to inject at 4 times the speed of a human being with a quarter of the labor and tight control over injection parameters, essentially removing this bottleneck and unlocking the technology. Our system was recently published in the Journal of Genetics and presented at a scientific conference, and the scientific research community's response has been energizing and validating. We already have a robust and rapidly expanding sales pipeline. We've generated almost $120,000 in billable revenue, with another $100,000 forecasted before mid-year. If we're able to meet our goal of placing over 1 system a month with contributing revenue from consumables and service plans at a blended margin of over 70%, we have line of sight to profitability by the end of 2025. We're raising capital in a seed round, so frankly, we can move out of our founder's basement and start building these systems at scale.
Thanks for your presentation, James. That was great. The first question I have is about onboarding time in your data set models. How long does that take, and are you able to get up fast for a certain lab?
We're in the process of beta testing in the field. We have MVPs that our customers are paying for. 2 of them are here on the university campus, and 2 of them are external, one at Baylor College of Medicine and one at Genelia Farms, which is an HHMI research institute in Virginia. And we're in the process of making sure that we have a good understanding of the support required to make sure that our customers can utilize the system effectively.
Impressive presentation, impressive team in a very hot space. So question I have for you is, are you able to share what each system costs and the business model for what you get up yearly or what you expect over the time of the device?
Sure, I actually have that right here. So our average selling price, we currently modeled it out at $75,000 a system. An average laboratory will consume about $5,000 worth of injection needles. It could be quite a bit more for some laboratories that do a lot of this work. Service contracts will be $10,000. So we anticipate $80,000 in year 1 with a revenue tail of $20,000 a year. We conservatively estimated about a 4-year lifespan for $140,000 total value.
Terrific presentation. Thanks, James. In thinking about how fast you're going to be able to inject cells, what's the next bottleneck that you'll envision this technology creating? I mean, how many cells do you have to do, and how can you screen those cells to understand if they've been effectively injected with whatever you're trying to get in there?
You know, I'm going to ask my co-founder, Daryl, to see if he can address that. He's our Chief Scientific Officer. Daryl, are you able to talk about the next technical challenge for the system? He's right here.
Here, Daryl, you can use this.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you're right that you when you inject into an embryo, you then have the problem of having to screen them, and so that differs depending on what sort of organism you're injecting. So our initial prototype was developed with fruit flies, where you can grow up and screen a lot of those.
But there are going to be other systems where the downstream labor becomes limiting. Now the value of creating some of those reagents then becomes much larger. So like the mouse, like mammalian markets, or for instance like gene editing in livestock animals, you might have lower throughput, but the actual value of what you're producing is much higher. So we think it'll sort of cancel out.
Thanks, Daryl.
So great presentation, James. Quick question on intellectual property and the competitive landscape here. Just love if you could expand a little bit more about, I hear the data sets, machine learning, probably as a differentiator, but curious who else is here and
Sure.
and how you'll be differentiated.
Let's see, I do have a competitive slide. So from a hardware perspective, most of the competitors are the manufacturers of manual injection systems or the components that are used to assemble those workstations. Frankly, we believe that our largest competitor is going to come from the service provider network that's available to the laboratories that do a lot of this work. And the feedback that I've been getting from customers who came by our booth at the Allied Genetics Conference last week in Washington, D.C., is that it's expensive to do anything that's off menu. And so we believe that the key opinion leaders out there that are the real Jedi Knights in this technique they're always going to do it themselves, and they'll see our platform as enabling, removing that bottleneck, and we'll have a robust secondary market of groups that want to work with mosquitoes. And we have a group here at the University of Minnesota that's working with Asian carp. So I had to mention some fish in this setting, right? It's trying to make the world a better place for actual walleyes. So Daryl, you're maybe the best person to address the intellectual property piece.
Yeah, we have a patent application that's been filed, and so we also have a license option from OTC. So the IP is owned by the University of Minnesota, but the company is licensing that.